his skills. Got to think a guy like him, too, his size,
Yeah.
the frame that he has.
He keeps getting bigger.
And he keeps getting bigger, just the way it helps his reach with the puck, being able to protect the puck. I know that's some things that the scouts here, Washington, their development team has liked about him. But similar to the Protas brothers, things like that, we're getting some bigger guys in that you got to think are going to be a huge asset to this team.
You know, I feel like at some point in the very near future, led by Tom Wilson and Alexei Protas, this is going to be arguably the biggest team in the league. They're going to have some really huge lines. Cole Hudson is going to be the smaller guy on the back end, maybe Rasmus Sandin. But, I mean, in general, this team is going to average 6'2", 200 plus. And look, skill is so important, but if you can have size and skill, those are the teams that win, especially when it comes to the playoffs where the intensity goes up 20% and the physicality goes up 20%. And, that's something that Lynden mentioned there. They've asked him to ramp up his compete level a little bit. Be a little harder on pucks in the corner. Be a little heavier on your stick. When you go into a corner battle, come out with the puck every single time. And so that's something he's going to be working on. And as he fills out and gets stronger, because there's one thing, being tall, but also when you start getting your man muscles.
Yes,
and he's 18, going to be 19 next month.
So
that's
young.
good. That's going to start happening for him in the next couple of years.
And I love how you mentioned his relationship with Parascak, because we see them here in Capitals jerseys together on the ice.
They were roommates.
Roommates. And so for them to be now same league, different teams, but both absolutely lighting it up, it leaves that friendly competition. I know he mentioned he texts him after he sees that Terik has a big game and vice versa. And so you got to think that this Caps development team is really happy with the ongoing communication that these guys have. And it's not just, all right, meet at Dev Camp and then we'll see you again. They are talking this entire season.
It's funny, Katie, if you go back to the early stages of the Ovi era, one thing that helped this team come together and coalesce so quickly was they grew up together. Ovi kind of started in the league a little before, the Carlsons and Backstrom showed up, but then they kind of all went through the trials and tribulations of being young men in a big city and learning how to play in the NHL, and they all came up together. Some of them came together in Hershey and kind of did a little growing there before they got to D.C., but that really matters. Chemistry in the locker room, chemistry in the meeting room, it eventually translates to what's going on the ice, and to have two guys in the W who are rivals but are already friends. They're going to grow up together. They're going to probably arrive around the same time and start making an impact around the same time. It's so important.
And they're so young. They're single, things like that. Roommates here. Like, you're not just growing up on the ice, but those are your years. What I call is when the adulting happens. You start learning how to cook and how to properly grocery
Have you figured
shop.
that out yet, young lady?
Ask my dad.
I will. But, you're exactly right. I mean, we talked about Ryan Leonard earlier this year. He was living with Pierre-Luc Dubois. It's hard when you are a younger player on a team full of veterans. They all go home to their children, and you're still a child yourself. You don't have a whole lot to hang out, people to hang out with, or people to show you how to cook and do the dry cleaning but when you have a whole core of guys, and eventually that's going to happen here, where you have a bunch of guys that are in their young 20s, they're going to be best friends. They're going to be the next wave of young guns. And you Caps fans out there who have followed this team for a number of years, you probably have that poster of the young guns. Well, there's going to be another group of young guns. It's coming again.